The crypto market is seeing a modest uptick today, some green candles showing up, but nothing explosive just yet. The real question on everyone's mind right now is, was that the bottom? Have we already pushed through the worst part of this correction? That's what a lot of traders are trying to figure out. Yesterday, I spotlighted a well-known chart analyst who gave some pretty compelling insights into this exact topic, specifically focusing on XRP. And according to their take, yeah, it's looking more and more likely that we've seen the worst for XRP. That might have been the true local bottom. So today, I want to unpack that perspective even further by sharing what I've gathered from not just one, but 9 top-tier XRP chart analysts. These aren't just random Twitter folks. These are names with solid reputations and proven calls. And guess what? The bullish sentiment among them hasn't faded one bit. If anything, they're more confident than ever that XRP is gearing up for a major breakout in this market cycle. We're talking melt-your-face-off type rallies. Even the more conservative analysts are forecasting XRP climbing to the $8 to $10 range. Considering XRP's cycle low was just 28 cents, hitting even $10 would be massive. That kind of move turns portfolios around. And then you've got credible names like Credible Crypto and Crypto Insight, UK still standing firm on their $20, $30 XRP predictions by the top of this cycle. And honestly, those numbers aren't even that wild. They're very much within reach based on past cycles and current technical setups. So yeah, I don't throw around hype for no reason, but this is one of those times where it's totally warranted. We're in the later stages of the bull cycle, heading into what's historically been the most explosive and euphoric part. The window for life-changing gains is still open, but it won't be for long. Before we dive any deeper, let me make this super clear. I'm not a financial professional. This isn't financial advice. And you definitely shouldn't make any investment decisions based on what I say here. I'm just a guy who's really into crypto and enjoys making videos about it for fun, nothing more. As I record this, it's currently 4:04 p.m. Central on Wednesday, August 6, 2025. XRP is trading at $2.99, and Bitcoin is sitting slightly above $115,000. Markets are generally up over the past day, nothing wild, mostly sideways action. But should we be excited for what's coming next? Absolutely no doubt about it. I've got no doubt about this whatsoever. Let's take a look at something recently posted by the XRPArmy account. And if you're not familiar, that account is run by the co-founders of Glassnode, an on-chain analytics powerhouse I've been following for years now. Their work is top tier, incredibly data-driven, and in the same league as Sentiment, which I also hold in very high regard. Both consistently deliver insightful, high-quality analysis. So, what did XRPArmy say, and why does it matter? Well, especially since Bitcoin leads the entire crypto market, it's worth paying attention. Here's the posting question. Bitcoin isn't rallying, but it's also not breaking down. That's your signal. Sellers are out of steam. Buyers aren't jumping in either. Only liquidity flows can move the needle, and they're quietly starting to come back. The window for bears to push this market lower is closing fast, to -4 days until M2 liquidity starts rising again. This is key. We've been in a sideways chop, literally range-bound. And even if you're not deep into TA, you can tell it's a standoff. Neither bulls nor bears are in control right now. It's a neutral battleground. The post points to liquidity flows and specifically global M2 money supply as the factor that could tip the scale. That liquidity is starting to come back online quietly. And historically, Bitcoin has followed global M2 trends very closely, like a 90% directional correlation over the last decade. That's significant. But here's the thing. There's a lag. Liquidity doesn't just flow into crypto overnight. There's a process. Capital enters the system. Then it gets allocated into stocks, into crypto, into various assets. That takes time. Most analysts peg the lag at around 10 to 12 weeks between rising liquidity and Bitcoin reacting to it. XRPArmy specifically uses 12 weeks to 84 days as their model. Someone even asked them directly how they calculated, and they confirmed the 84-day lag. So, while we may not see an instantaneous pump the moment liquidity ticks upward, The implication is that the next leg higher is coming. Even if it doesn't happen tomorrow or the day after, the trend is locked in. It's just a matter of time. And this isn't just a fringe idea. Influencers like Rollpal, with over 1 million followers and years of macro analysis under his belt, have been preaching this for a long time. He's a former Goldman Sachs guy, founder of Real Vision, and one of the most respected macro thinkers in the crypto space. His message has been consistent. When global liquidity rises, crypto follows. Period. It's not about short-term noise. It's about understanding the larger, underlying economic shifts. So that's what we're watching right now. The setup is forming. Liquidity is about to turn, and Bitcoin, along with the broader crypto market, is likely to follow. Let's jump into something shared by Chart Animals Jelly this morning, posted at 10:37 a.m. Central, giving us a short-term snapshot of what's going on with Bitcoin right now. Here's what they said. This is a critical moment. Bitcoin is pushing up into the zone where it previously broke down. If we can reclaim that level, short-term charts are going to start looking a lot more bullish. A higher low has been set. Now the question is, can we flip that resistance level into support? That's a super common theme I'm seeing lately across the board from many respected chart analysts. While not everyone is coming out and making bold declarations, there's a growing consensus. We may have already seen the local bottom. It's cautious optimism, not full-blown moon talk, but definitely a shift in sentiment. And right after that, I came across another post from Greg Crypto, another well-followed chart analyst, continuing this exact line of thinking. This next update comes from Greg Crypto, posted earlier this morning, and he's zeroing in on XRP's short-term price action. According to him, XRP is forming a textbook double bottom on the 4-hour chart. That kind of setup is considered one of the strongest bullish patterns in technical analysis, and it's exactly what he's been hoping to see take shape. There's no hesitation in his outlook either. Greg is crystal clear. XRP is heading higher. In his view, we're not just talking a little bounce here. He's expecting double-digit prices before this cycle wraps up. So, what's happening right now on the chart? He believes we're currently setting a higher low, and if this pattern confirms, it could launch XRP sharply upward, a strong reversal that could mark the beginning of its next major move. Now let's take a look at what Casey Trades had to say. This is one of the analysts I mentioned in yesterday's video. I covered her outlook then, and it's worth revisiting now because her current view lines up with that same narrative. Selling pressure has pretty much run its course. She might have phrased it slightly differently, maybe said something like, selling is exhausting. But either way, the idea is the same. Sellers are losing steam. And the question today is that still holding up? Well, let's take a look. Her original post went live this morning at 9:40 a.m. Central. And there's also a follow-up she posted a few hours after that. We'll get to that in a second. At the time of her post, XRP was sitting just under the $2.96 mark, bumping right up against a critical resistance level, the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement. For about 20 hours, that price point had been acting as a ceiling, pushing back every bullish attempt to break through. Below that, $2.91 was serving as local support. That's the 0.5 fib. Retracement from the recent low at $2.72. So, XRP was moving in a tight range between $2.91 and $2.96. Buyers have consistently held that $2.91 level, and we've seen repeated efforts to challenge resistance at the top of the range. The important thing she emphasizes, and this is echoed by basically every major analyst right now, is that despite recent pullbacks, nothing has structurally broken down on the higher timeframes. The macro setup still looks bullish. The chart isn't showing signs of collapse. Instead, it's showing signs of coiling beneath a key resistance zone. In other words, momentum might be building for a breakout. She also notes that bullish divergence is still intact on the RSI on lower timeframes, even though we briefly touched a new low. That's an important signal. It supports the idea that selling pressure is fading and a fresh low may not be in the cards. So, overall, her conviction from yesterday carries through into today. From her point of view, the current setup still favors XRP holders. She also added that if XRP can reclaim that $2.96 level and convert it into support, that would be the first real technical confirmation of renewed strength. From there, the next key resistance levels to watch are $3.21 and $3.41. This is still a consolidation phase, and she made it clear that more time is needed to fully play out. But the strong defense of the 0.5 level at $2.91 is a bullish signal. Now it's just a question of whether bulls have enough momentum to punch through that $2.96 resistance and set the next move in motion. And now, here's where we get to be the future people, so to speak, because since that post, XRP actually did manage to climb to $3.01. According to LiveCoin Watch, that happened within the last couple of hours. So how did Casey respond? At 1:09 p.m., she posted a short and sweet follow-up. Backtest of support. Check. Right there at the $2.96 level. So again, no breakdown, no collapse. Her thesis still holds. The local bottom may be in, and we could very well be seeing the early stages of a continuation to the upside. That said, while there's a growing sense of optimism, I want to be fair about how the broader analyst community is reacting. Most of the folks I follow aren't 100% locked in on the idea that the bottom is in. There's more of a, this is probably the low type of attitude, a lot of cautiously bullish sentiment. But I will say this, when the group of analysts I follow they share a strong, unified conviction about something, they're usually spot on. I'm not quite seeing that level of certainty just yet in this case, but there's definitely a lean toward the idea that the worst might be behind us. And that continuation to the upside is the likely scenario. Alright, now let's turn to something chart analyst Cryptos posted earlier this morning. He was pointing out that XRP was holding firm at a key support level, and his take was pretty straightforward. If we bounce here, we're heading to $3.14, and based on how things have looked since then, yeah, it's definitely been shaping up nicely. Now, fast forward to this afternoon at 2:31 p.m. Central, and we've got a fresh update from Crypto Insight UK. He posted a new chart on XRPUSD and said, "Would like to see XRP start closing daily candles above $3.24. That's the key level he's watching right now. He wants to see that resistance get flipped into support. And once that happens, he's thinking much, much higher prices from there. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, Crypto Insight UK is one of the analysts I follow who has very high conviction that XRP is going to peak somewhere between $20 and $30 this market cycle. And honestly, that kind of move isn't just possible. It's totally plausible if enough liquidity enters the space. I mean, let's be real. The idea that XRP wouldn't capture a huge slice of incoming capital during a full-on liquidity surge, that's just absurd. Come on, XRP is no longer being held back. There's no more suppression, and it's finally operating on a level playing field. So what happens when you remove the handcuffs and let XRP compete freely in the market? Money starts flowing in, big time. We're already seeing the signs. The demand for XRP spot ETFs is insane. It's not speculation, it's a fact. XRP leads the pack in terms of the number of ETF applications filed by firms. As of now, at least 11 different companies are trying to launch XRP-based spot ETFs, more than Solana. That's saying something. On top of that, publicly traded companies are holding XRP as part of their treasuries, and some are even leveraging XRP for real-world payment solutions. That's actual utility. That's actual adoption. So yeah, when you zoom out and look at the macro setup, the growing liquidity, and the fact that XRP is no longer fighting uphill against regulatory pressure, it becomes blatantly clear XRP is positioned to win. And if the global M2 money supply continues to expand like it has in previous cycles, and history has a way of rhyming, then it's almost inevitable. A ton of that capital is going to find its way into XRP. To me, it's not even a debate. It's the most logical, most likely outcome. XRP is set up for massive upside, and I don't think we've seen anything yet. Alright, let's move over to a post from Crypto Wizard, who dropped a fresh XRPUSD chart earlier this afternoon. This one went out at 2:11 p.m. Central. He titled it simply, Road to 4.50. We're up 875%. This is all you need. According to him, the second XRP broke above $2.70. A key level, he says, was identified years ago. It triggered a move that launched us straight into new all-time high territory. And yes, while he's referencing that level from much lower prices, the point is clear. That breakout was not a coincidence. And now, we're seeing a healthy monthly retest, which is exactly what you'd expect during a bull run. Honestly, every serious chart analyst is saying the same thing. This kind of pullback is not only normal, it's actually bullish. If you've been in crypto long enough, this type of move shouldn't surprise you. If it still hasn't clicked yet, I mean really, what more do you need? Welcome to crypto. This is how the game works. If XRP wasn't experiencing a retest or temporary cooling off period right now, that would be unusual. So be glad. This kind of price action is textbook for a healthy bull market. Crypto Wizard is fully convinced the structure is unfolding exactly as expected. In his words, this path has been followed to perfection. See you at $4.50. That's his shorter-term target. But he also shared a more aggressive upside projection. His extreme bull case puts XRP at $8 this cycle. Now, he's not saying it can't go higher, just that $8 is the upper end of his realistic forecast. And personally, I'd be absolutely thrilled if that played out. I genuinely think it's more than plausible. It's well within reach if the macro tailwinds line up. Let's not forget, XRP is no longer being suppressed. And if you start thinking in terms of market cap comparisons, especially when factoring in where Ethereum could top out this cycle, it's not unreasonable to imagine XRP pushing into that same range, like it has in previous cycles. If Ethereum flies and XRP historically moves to match that kind of energy, we're talking major upside potential, well beyond $8, if the stars align. And then, of course, we've got chart analyst Cryptolic, who's been pounding the same message for what feels like forever. XRP is going to $10. Doesn't matter if we're going up, down, or just chopping sideways. His latest chart, same story. No change in narrative. Just bold letters. XRP $10. He's been relentless with that call. And honestly, the market may finally be aligning with him. Then you've got Chart Nerd, who posted earlier this morning at 9:23 a.m. Central. His view? Pretty straightforward. XRP is forming a bull flag, and once it breaks out, we're looking at a move toward $14, $15. According to him, current correction support ranges between $2 and $2.40. Once that base is confirmed, he's expecting the next major push to be towards $8, and that could come relatively soon. That's more of a near-term outlook. Next up, we've got Steph is Crypto, who's watching the $3.41 level like a hawk. In his analysis, that's the next key breakout point. Once XRP gets above that, he expects a fast move to around $4.53 based on Fibonacci targets. And he believes the price can explode even higher after that. He's just focusing on the short-term scenario for now. He also brings up an important point. XRP doesn't always face consistent sell pressure on the way up. In fact, that would be unusual. He talks about thin air zones, where price can jump quickly from one level to the next because of low sell-side resistance. And we've already seen that happen multiple times this cycle, especially since last November. XRP can rip upward in minutes when conditions align. No resistance, no sellers, just momentum. And we should expect more of that before this cycle peaks. Now, shifting to some mainstream coverage. Rakesh Upadhyay from Cointelegraph weighed in with his own analysis. I won't read the whole section here, but in short, he acknowledges we may see some more sideways consolidation in the immediate future, which is fair. But he also notes that a clean breakout above $3.33 could be the spark that sends XRP toward a new all-time high at $3.66. So yeah, all signs are pointing in the right direction. As I wrap this video up, XRP is currently sitting just under $3.00, and I gotta say, we're in a good spot. When you step back and consider the bigger picture, knowing that crypto markets have followed global M2 liquidity trends for over a decade, and seeing how well-positioned XRP is right now, it really does feel like we know what's coming. We may not know exactly when it hits, or which precise targets will be met first, but the overall trajectory, it's incredibly clear. Will we get a euphoric blow-off top before this cycle is done? To me, that's not even a question. It's almost a given. The idea that this cycle wouldn't end with mania, that would be truly bizarre. And as the saying goes, this time is different, are usually famous last words. So yeah, I'm feeling confident. I think we're in for a wild finish. Of course, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't make any investment decisions based on anything I say or write. I'm just a crypto enthusiast sharing my thoughts for fun.